Well, I'm back to give it one more try. Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and thank you all so much for your patience during my time away from sim racing. I truly appreciated all the kind words of support you sent after I said I was stepping away for a bit in my last video. It's certainly been a rough couple of months on track, but I'm really hoping the time off will break this run of terrible luck that I've been on. So let's put it to the test. I'm returning to Assetto Corsa Competizione and the Coach Dave GT3 Sprint with Low Fuel Motorsport. With my confidence so low at the moment, I'm starting from the back of the grid. The last thing I need is for another race to be ruined by poor racecraft, so I'm going to take it as carefully as I possibly can. Now, the lights have just gone green here at the Nürburgring, but I'm deliberately hanging back, and I'm glad I did. Watch the Ferrari directly in front of me. That's Andre Vesinu losing complete control on the approach to turn one. He spears right through the pack. I don't know how many cars he took with him, but that was a disastrous start from Vesinu in the Ferrari. Into turn two, and once again I'm not taking any chances. I knew that Porsche of Andreas Müller was on my inside, so I just gave him the space he needed. Likewise with the BMW of Alan Brown through turn three there. Now, Brown was the only driver behind me on the grid, so we've dropped to the very back of the pack, with the exception, of course, of Vesinu, who stacked it before we got to T1. He's still behind us, but I'm not too worried about that at this stage. Like I said, this is all about rebuilding my confidence and staying out of trouble. Speaking of trouble, there's a complete mess in front. 4 or 5 cars getting tangled up there, and once again we find ourselves alongside the Porsche of Müller. However, the danger is going to come from behind. Watch the mirror. Yeah, my attempts to stay out of trouble didn't even last half a lap. We got drilled from behind going into the hairpin, picked up some heavy damage, and effectively that's our race over. We're going to check out the replay shortly, but before we do, let's see what happened to Andre Vesinu in the Ferrari. He didn't even make it to T1 when he completely lost control. It's a miracle he didn't take anyone else with him there. Now, it's driving like that was the exact reason why I wanted to start at the back of the grid, and I was quite happy hanging back, but unfortunately there was this coming together of the 2 Lamborghinis, Francis Dorato getting tagged by Sebastian Stevenson, and now all of a sudden the pack is bunched right together and I'm in the middle of it. Now watch the gold Lamborghini right behind me. Nikita Mali comes in really hot there, gives me a proper whack up the rear, sends me out into the gravel, and that's my race over. Let's ride on board with Mali now. And I want to see if this was my fault, because I did brake a little bit earlier than I would normally do going into that hairpin. It's because I'm on lap 1, I've got cold tyres and cold brakes, and I'm also offline. I'm on the inside line because I know the Porsche is alongside me. But from the looks of this on board, it seems that Mali braked later than everybody else, so I don't think he was getting that stopped anyway. I don't think there was anything different that I could have done there, and even after this melee, there was still more carnage. Vesinu in the Ferrari was able to catch up with the rest of the pack, and he immediately takes out Alan Brown in the BMW. So I tried to persevere, but unfortunately that hit from Mali was just too heavy. The damage I picked up was too severe, and I had no choice but to go into the pits for repairs. And with my already fragile confidence now completely shattered, I decided to retire. I just didn't fancy going back out to finish the race. So I left it a few hours to clear my head, and then thought I'd come back and give it another final try. Now, clearly starting at the back of the grid didn't make me any safer last time out, because I still didn't survive that opening lap. So I decided to push as hard as I could in qualifying this time. It's still only good enough for P16, but we are further up the grid than we were last time, and I'm also in a different car. I've switched back to the BMW in the hope that it will make me feel steady and safer. And it didn't. Well, that didn't take long at all, did it? We're wiped out before we've even made it to T1. Thankfully, we do end up facing in the right direction, although we have to come to a complete halt because of all the carnage in front. There are cars crashing everywhere. Watch Christoph Bombic on the outside. He's going to swerve to the inside and take Ben Barnes out completely. So Barnes is another driver who's dispatched to the grass. This start has been absolutely appalling. I mean, we were poleaxed completely before we even made it to T1. And I've got no idea who by. I don't know where the car came from. We did pick up some damage. Thankfully, it doesn't feel as severe as the first race. We can see another car out on the grass to the left, so we are at least picking up positions here. The leaderboard should update when we reach the end of the first sector so we can see exactly where we are. I mean, there were several cars in the gravel at T1, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're still in a fairly respectable position. We're in 16th place. So incredibly, after being spectacularly wiped out down the start-finish straight, we're holding on to our starting position of 16th. I don't quite know how we've managed that, but it does mean all is not lost, and we might challenge for another position here. We've got the run on Bombish. We're going to tuck it up the inside. We've got to pull this pass off cleanly. Yes, we have. We're up into 15th. Bombish down to 16th. And I can feel my confidence and enthusiasm starting to return here. Sure, it was a messy start. It was a diabolical start, really. But is our luck beginning to turn? Because despite getting punted really hard down the start-finish straight, we ended up facing in the right direction. We haven't picked up too much damage, and we haven't lost out on any positions. But we did run it in a little bit hot into that final chicane. Got a bit too close for comfort to that McLaren in front of Jeff Colclough. As a result, I was slower on exit and I've lost a bit of ground. But crucially, I'm going to do something that I've not done for a long time, and that is survive lap 1. So I don't want to jinx it, but things are starting to look up.
We have some light damage at the rear of the car.
But just like that, we're out of the race again. I'm facing the wrong way on the inside of T1. There's no way I can rejoin safely with the oncoming pack still entering the corner, so I had to wait until everyone has gone past. Let's check out the replay and see how yet another race gets ruined within a lap of the lights going green. Nothing at all I could do about this first punt. Watch the silver McLaren spear right across the track. Exactly the same as what we saw in the first race earlier. Only earlier I was far enough back not to get tangled up in it. This time, not so lucky. Let's ride on board with the McLaren driver, Jesus Celorio. Yeah, he just wasn't prepared to brake any earlier into T1, was he? He ran right into the back of the car in front of him. Also tried to swerve to avoid him, but that, of course, sent him into me. And to be honest, I just don't know what I can do anymore to avoid these incidents. It's happening every race, and it's not just happening at the back of the grid either. This is towards the front of the pack, and we're going to see exactly the same thing. Watch the number 18 McLaren. That's Lorenzo Galasso, and he's going to try and pass people on the grass, which of course causes him to lose control, takes out several cars, then slides into T1, taking out several more. I mean, how many more times is this going to happen? It is beyond a joke. It's embarrassing. People just need to drive with a bit more common sense on lap 1 of a race. When you've got 30 cars coming into T1, you don't need to be trying moves like this. I can't stress it enough. Lap 1 is not a time for hot lapping. And looking at all the carnage, it's a miracle that we were even still on track to start lap 2, but unfortunately lap 2 ended in turn 1. We get a nudge from behind. That's the McLaren of Stefan Hochfeld, and there's no way of rejoining safely as we're facing the oncoming traffic. We just have to wait it out. On board with Hochfeld. And it's not even like he outbraked himself coming into T1. He's got that car stopped, but then he just suddenly has more mid-corner speed than I do and drives right into the back of me. But I don't know, maybe I'm just not good enough to be on these grids at the moment. If I'm not cornering quickly enough, I'm gonna get hit by faster drivers. So yeah, maybe I've just got to look at myself and say I'm not cut out for these races at the moment. Now, to be fair to Hochfeld, he did wait for me to rejoin before rejoining himself, so I do really appreciate that gesture, Stefan. Thank you. But as I got back on track, right at the back of the pack, 8 seconds adrift of everyone else, I just thought, I don't want to do this anymore. I pull over to the side. That's it for me. I'm quitting. And to make matters worse, these 2 races have caused me to lose my Low Fuel Motorsport licence, so I won't be able to race this series anymore. I'll have to graduate again through rookies, which is something I don't really want to do.